Hey guys, it's Isla and Sam here. Today we're playing an 800 point battle report. I am playing 800 points of Lurtz's Scouts and Sam is playing...
Riders of Theoden, Legendary Legion.
Hey, you did it, good job.
So, starting from left to right, here's the Isengard force. We've got Uglok with 10 Uruk-hai scouts with shield, an Uruk-hai scout with a banner, and an Uruk-hai drummer. In front here we have a captain with 11 Uruk-hai scouts. The general Lurtz with 14 Uruk-hai bows. And Malher with 10 Uruk-hai scouts with shields and an Uruk-hai drummer and a Uruk-hai banner. That is 800 points of Lurtz's scouts. Over to the 800 points of Rohan, we have Durnhill with Merry leading 3 Riders of Rohan with throwing spears. Aemir with throwing spears and shield and heavy armor and a armored horse, and he's got 8 Riders of Rohan with throwing spears. Theoden on Snowmane with heavy armor and a shield, leading 8 Royal Guard, and Gamling with a horse and the Royal Standard of Rohan, leading 4 more Royal Guard. So every model bar Gamling and Theoden in the Rohan army has throwing spears. Okay, so since Sam is learning, she's going to roll for our scenario. Pool 2. And rolling for scenario. 6. Breakthrough. To see who chooses which side and deploys their first unit. 1 versus 5, Isengard. I think Isengard's just going to go on the side that they're already on, because I don't want to move 40 models. Starting deployment. Here we can see Malher's warband deploying on the left-hand flank, countered by Eowyn and her warband, and next goes down Uglok and his warband, and as you can see, Uglok's warband split with the drummer being on the other side of the house, but still within 6 inches of Uglok. Aemir then deployed next to Eowyn's warband with his 8 riders. And as you can see on the right hand side here, the scout captain and Gamling deployed in the center with Lurtz and his archers completing the left flank, and Theoden and his riders holding the center. Here is the table after deployment. Turn 1 priority goes to Rohan. Theoden, Gamling and the Royal Guard move up and hold the center. The Riders of Rohan on the right flank hold as Durnhelm and 1 rider and Aemir move towards the center. On the Isengard right flank, the Scout warband without shields moved up and forming an anti-cavalry formation with the Uruk-hai scouts on both sides. On the left-hand flank, the archers stood still, although Lurtz moved towards the center to support it. The Riders of Rohan on the right flank take aim at the Isengard scouts with bows, hitting with 7 of their shots and wounding with only 1. So as you can see, the scout lying down is the casualty. Next, the 4 Royal Guard on the left-hand flank take aim at the scouts directly in front of them, hitting with 1 of their throwing spears and not scoring a wound. The remaining 8 Royal Guard on the flank also shoot into the Isengard scouts in front of them, scoring 4 hits and failing to wound. In retaliation, the Isengard scouts with bows on the left flank let fly their arrows towards the riders, hitting with 3 of their shots, seeing if it hit the horse or the rider, 1 on the rider, 2 on horses, The rider failed to be wounded, and they successfully wounded one horse. The rider passed his thrown rider test on a 4 and is lain knocked prone. With turn 1 concluded, priority is rolled again. It was a draw. As Rohan had it last time, it goes to Isengard. In retaliation, Theoden declares a heroic move. In response, Ugluk also declares a heroic move. The roll-off goes to Isengard. Ugluk didn't have far to move, but he shuffled into the centre more, and all of the Isengard scouts managed to charge the riders in the front. Theoden's move led to him protecting his flank against the oncoming Isengard scouts. On the right, the rider protecting Dernhelm charged against one of the scouts that moved to the side of the house with Lurtz, failing to hit with his throwing spear. A second rider of Rohan charged another scout. He hit with his throwing spear, but failed to wound. Here you can see the charges on the right flank that were successful. The prone rider of Rohan stood up and moved to the right, whilst the remaining riders of Rohan moved forward to be just out of 8 inches of the archers. Eomer and Dernhelm moved up towards the centre. Isengard scouts have the initiative, and they shoot at the riders of Rohan once again. They score 7 successful hits. To determine what hits the horse and rider, 3 go on the riders and 4 on the horses. To wound the riders, 1 of the riders is killed, and to wound against the horses, all failed. Here we can see the casualties that was suffered by the riders of Rohan. The 7 riders and 1 walker return fire. They're -1 to hit because of moving, and they hit with 3 shots and managed to wound with 1 of them. Here is the Isengard casualty. For combats, we had the Isengard scouts win quite a few. 1 scout killed the horse and knocked prone the other Royal Guard. 1 of the Royal Guard died on the left, 1 of them died in the centre, and Malher killed 1 on the right of the Rohan flank. Over here are 2 combats. Rohan won 1 and Isengard won the other, and both failed to do any damage. Here is what our table looks like at the end of turn 2. Priority for turn 3 is a draw again. Isengard had it last, so it goes to Rohan. Ugluk decides to spend another point of might, declaring a heroic move. And the captain also declares a heroic move. In retaliation, Dernhelm declares a heroic move, as does Gamling. The roll-off determines that the heroic move will go to good, and then we'll take turns. Beginning with Gamling, the first Royal Guard charges, throwing his throwing spear, rolling a 6 to hit, but failing to wound on a 1. The remaining Royal Guard gallantly charge in, throwing their throwing spears. They miss, all save 1 at the end. Who manages to roll a 5, followed by a 5, killing one of the Uruk-hai with shield, and then charging his friend next to him. Here is how it looks at the end of Gamling's heroic move. Moving on to the Uruk-hai Scout Captain's heroic move. The scouts piled on as many riders of Rohan as possible, and also Dernhelm cancelling her heroic move. On to Ugluk's heroic move. We ended up just shuffling banners around and trying to get as many of the remaining Uruk-hai in combat as possible. The Riders of Rohan charged, first one missing with his throwing spear, and then the second one also missing with his throwing spear. One of the Riders of Rohan on the hill charged to support his friend in combat. The rider behind him charged down the hill, throwing his throwing spear at Lurtz, missing, and then completing his charge into combat. The next 2 Riders of Rohan charged, throwing their throwing spears at the archer as they did, missing. Then the next 3 charged the archers, throwing their throwing spears, hitting with one, and wounding with one, managing to kill an archer. Here is how their charge looks completed. The back rank of archers was still free to move. Being woodland creatures, they moved across and supported the combats near Lurtz. The last one supported his friend. Here's a shot of the table before the combats. I had to just indulge myself a little bit here because I am so thrilled that there are so many awesome looking models on such a lovely table. Here we can see that many of the archers were pushed back. One of the riders lost his horse, and another one lost his horse but passed his thrown rider and on a 6, so he stood up. Another rider died, more Urukai knocked prone and one being killed on that flank. 2 Royal Guard were killed, 1 Royal Guard lost his horse, more Urukai knocked prone and slain, and the Urukai scouts on the flank took a beating, losing 3 of their total number, and the scout captain killed a prone Royal Guard. Here is our kill tally. Rohan losing 5 Royal Guard and 3 Riders of Rohan, needing a total of 14 to break, and Isengard having lost 13 Urukai, needing a total of 27 to break. And once there are only 18 models remaining on the table, that's when they start taking courage tests. Now that we're at the bottom of turn 3, that brings us to the end of part 1 of this battle report. Hope you've been enjoying so far. I just want to mention that if you guys really like the content, please, it'll be great if you like and subscribe, and always comment. And we're not perfect, and sometimes we make some real mistakes, and we're open to feedback because that's how we grow as players, and we are really sort of excited to see the response from the community so far, and your continued support will help us grow and, in addition, encourage us to make more regular content.